Hello, gorgeous, and welcome to the Women on Top podcast. I'm your host, Valerie Lynn, and with over 15 years of business experience, I became truly passionate about finding ways to support and hear from way more women. And what we know to be true is that women thrive when they are in their favorite position, on top in business, in relationships, in personal growth, and on top in being real and authentic to who the hell they are. So I invite you to sit back and enjoy the Women on Top podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Women on Top. I'm coming to you today with another solo episode, and today's is all about a choice that really started small and ended up turning into kind of a personal challenge, and then without me even planning it, became a year-long experiment in self-love, creativity, and a little bit of sass along the way. And so today I wanted to kind of just share about how I ended up becoming sober for a year. And the thing of it is I would never have considered myself to really be like an alcoholic. I wouldn't even say that I was somebody who drank a lot. And so I just kind of felt like it would be helpful to share because I think this applies to life and just anything that you maybe have in some way, shape, or form in the back of your mind, always kind of wondered like, gosh, could I give that up? Could I really thrive without this thing? And sometimes you've been curious about maybe dropping a habit or letting something like an old story or an old narrative or an old way of life just go. Just letting it go. And maybe there's some fear around it. Maybe there's some attachment. That's totally fine. In no way, shape, or form is this episode about shaming people who drink, because honestly, I'm going to end up drinking again. This isn't about that. This is about just the challenge and some of the reflections I had along the way. So, I was the person who enjoyed drinking occasionally, and really kind of I felt like I ended up drinking enough where it felt a little bit like a crutch kind of consistently. So, in the evenings you have yourself some wine. I would sometimes just make myself a little mixed beverage, just pour a little vodka in my LaCroix or pour a little tequila in the Spindrift and like make my own little mixed drink. And sometimes I even found myself pouring something into my my big water cup and feeling a little bit like I wanted to hide it because I didn't want to show my partner, whoever I was with, like that I was doing that. And it wasn't a lot to the point where it's like, oh my gosh, that's really concerning. And I think anyone else would look at it and say, for the most part, most people would probably look at it and say like, gosh, this is nothing to be dramatic about. And it really wasn't. But the bigger deal was that underneath it all, I just felt like it had enough of a hold on me that I at moments didn't know if I could give it up. And I just didn't like that feeling. Like, gosh, if I had to give up alcohol, how would I do? Because it really was something that helped me relax. It helped amplify moments where I wanted to feel like there was a sense of fun. It helped kind of elevate things or just change my mood a little bit. Or it was a little bit of a crutch. And so being also like to add to this, being a bit of a health nerd, like I'm that person who will go down all the rabbit holes with health. I research a ton. I knew that like alcohol really isn't good for us, right? And again, there's different studies on different things. But for me personally, I just kind of had this constant feeling of like, I know alcohol isn't good for me specifically. I am the type of person who gets heart palpitations also. So I would sometimes wake up with like a racing heart, which if you've ever had that can be kind of terrifying. And it's also just unpleasant. I didn't like it. And sometimes it came with like headaches, a little bit of brain fog, like all of those things. So I knew all of the science. Like I knew all of the reasons that I should reconsider it at some point. But like so many things in my life, I just never was at a point where I wanted to give it up and didn't ever feel like I should. And yeah, I just never did. And I wasn't ready to let go. But then sometime last summer, actually the end of last summer, things shifted. We were on a trip. I say partner, boyfriend, whatever. My guy and I went on this trip and went to Yellowstone. We were with his family. And of course, there were drinks. And that can be a really fun part of the trip. But before that trip happened, I had interviewed two women on this podcast, two incredible women. And those women helped plant seeds in my brain that changed some things with this sober journey in a massive way. Because these women were not just sober. They are, and if you go follow them now, they are vibrant, they are sassy, they are wise and beautiful and full of energy, and they just were sexy. And it was like, gosh, I want what they have. They were making being sober look attractive. Like the way that they talked about it, the way that they showed stories of how they would drink with their friends and take shots of orange juice or, sip on mocktails. It just made me look at them in a whole new light. And it kind of made me want, again, it made me want what they had. So in that moment, I really just thought, if they can be having this much fun without drinking, then maybe that's something I can do too. And I don't know what shifted specifically in that trip, but we just had some drinks, and I think it was just realizing that the drinks didn't actually do anything for me. It was like I was kind of just having drinks because they were there. Have you ever done this where you're just like, oh, I guess I'll drink it just because it's there, but it really doesn't change your state of mind. It really didn't add anything to the experience. And so I just kind of realized gosh, I don't really feel anything. I think I had a headache at one point, and I decided when we came home from that trip, I was like, okay, I'm going to give it just 1 week. Let's just try 1 week off alcohol and just kind of see what happens. And the week came and went, really was pretty easy. That was fine. Which in a way was surprising. But then I thought, okay, well, whatever. Let's just keep going. Let's just try a few more weeks, maybe a month, kind of like a little personal challenge. I'll just go sober for a month. People do that all the time in January. No pressure, no curiosity. Let's just explore, have an exploring attitude, not have, and I didn't tell myself no. I wasn't telling myself that I would be bad if I had a drink. I just was like, let's just see if we can do a month. So I experimented with mocktails and coffee drinks and sparkling water and all kinds of concoctions, which I still love doing. Anything that really could fill the ritual of having a drink without having alcohol. And what happened was I actually started to notice that I was having fun. I was being playful with it. I was kind of making it a game for myself, and I found some joy in experimenting. And then I was talking with Luke one night, and I was like, gosh, I feel pretty good about this. And I wonder if I can keep going. And Luke said, kind of half joking to me, he said, well, maybe you'll go just this month, but who knows? Maybe it'll be a whole year. And something inside of me clicked, and I thought, let me just see what I can get away with. And I love that saying, let's just see what I can get away with. I feel like that phrase reframed the challenge as a challenge, but also as curiosity instead of deprivation. Because I think what happens so often is that we want to kick a bad habit, or we want to let go of something that's not serving us. And instead of making it fun and exploratory and creative, we make it a shameful thing. Oh, I can't do that, restrictive. And so I decided to try it the other way, and make it really light and fun. And then what is even more interesting is that I didn't actually end up really wanting the alcohol itself. I had moments where I wanted the feeling, I would pause and okay, why do I crave alcohol? I would literally have this talk with myself. Why do I feel like I'm craving a margarita? Besides the fact that margaritas are delicious, but why am I craving that? And it was because I want to feel relaxed, or I want to have a good time, or I want to amplify this good feeling that's happening for me. And then I would try to find the feeling in different ways. So if the feeling was I was craving relaxation or to like let go of some anxiety, then I would try to find a way to go relax and let it go. Like whether that was I needed a little more rest or I needed to go for a walk or like put headphones in. But a lot of times I would also pour myself a mocktail because it's like, okay, let's make sure that I'm having some fun with this. And then let's try to go fulfill that void in other ways. And I feel like that knowledge gave me so much power. So, like, when those urges would hit and I would pause myself and ask the question of, what am I actually looking for right now? And then find a way to handle that, it was like I actually started to become more in tune with my body. So I feel like this is something that we don't talk a lot about, or maybe people do talk a lot about it when they become sober, but I didn't realize this was going to be something. But I feel like because I started to pay attention more to like, oh, I really feel like I'm craving a drink, and then figuring out what was behind that craving, I became more in tune with what my body was needing. And I am definitely not perfect. And I'm still definitely working on the relationship that I have with my body. I feel like it's a work in progress. But giving up alcohol has allowed me to understand those cravings, my energy patterns, and it really helps me give myself the experiences that I thought that I needed alcohol for, but I'm doing it without alcohol. So I now have more clarity and presence and this deeper connection to myself, which were kind of like these payoffs that I wasn't even looking for. Um, Other things that were beneficial that happened that I wasn't expecting were I noticed that my skin was a little bit clearer. So that cleared up. My brain fog cleared up. So every once in a while, when you drink and you wake up the next day, partially you're just tired, but partially it's this like fog, a little bit like brain fog. I feel like my thoughts are generally a bit sharper, and so that's been really refreshing. And then the other thing that it's just been like a huge relief has been driving home after going out. I love the fact that I don't even question it. I don't even question like, oh gosh, am I going to get pulled over? There's no anxiety about, you know, wondering if a cop's going to get behind me and then am I going to be okay? Which again, I never like drove after having more than a drink or so, especially like having food. Like I was always very mindful of that, but still you just have the jitters of like, gosh, I don't want to get pulled over. Just knowing that you've had alcohol, I feel like immediately I always was questioning and making sure that my driving was really safe. And now I don't even think about it. I literally could be out till 2 a.m. and I could be having mocktails all night and I wouldn't even think about getting pulled over. And then finally, like, I just really love that it became a playful journey. I got kind of a thrill out of going against the grain. So I think something else that gave me a rush about being sober is that not everyone's doing it. It still isn't like widely accepted as being cool. And I kind of love that. So while everyone else is drinking, I kind of felt like a little bit of rebellion, kind of like from a joyful, empowering sense, but it just felt sassy and like sexy in a way and a personal competition that I could win and it wasn't hurting anybody. So I really love that competition piece and kind of going against the grain. And again, like I just love getting creative. I'm that person who will sit back here and make different mixes with sparkling water and lime juice and maybe some sort of, I don't know, sweetener, maybe not. I try so many different things. And then before I would know it, I was forgetting all about the fact that I had craved a drink. And so I think that's the other piece that I would say is finding the next best thing. I sometimes would crave it and then tell myself, just have one mocktail and then see how you feel. Because I didn't want to say no to myself. If I wanted a drink bad enough, I was willing to let myself have a drink. But just kind of filling in the gap, I noticed after having one mocktail and just kind of pretending I was a sexy badass, I usually found myself or I guess I should say 100% of the time, I really was finding that I didn't actually crave the drink as much after the one mocktail. So again, this isn't to say that everyone needs to go sober. Okay. I'm just sharing my personal journey, but I do think that if you have something on your heart or in your life where you're trying to shift away from it. You don't really love the grip that it has on you, even if you don't feel like, well, gosh, it's not like I'm an alcoholic, or it's not like I'm an addict, or it's not like XYZ, whatever excuse you're using. I still think it's worth looking at because your body is telling you that this isn't for you for a reason. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the nudge. Otherwise, you wouldn't feel like on some level, gosh, I don't really love how this is affecting me in my life. So the takeaway is, sometimes what we think we need isn't actually what we need. And often what we're chasing is just a feeling. It's a state of mind. It's a sense of release. And when we can realize that, we gain power. And we gain the power how to choose what we give to ourselves. This approach for me, using curiosity, experimentation, playfulness, I think can be applied to so many different things in life. I think it can be applied to our work, to our relationships, to our creative adventures, to fitness, really anything that you want to grow, improve, or expand upon. I think that we can approach it through this lens. And the magic is really leaning into the curiosity, into the presence of the moment and noticing what it is that you're really after, and then giving it to yourself in ways that honor you in the moment. And when you do that, you find a new kind of buzz. It's a different kind of high that comes from a sense of self-mastery and choice. So my challenge to you is that next time you're tempted by a habit or a craving or a pattern that you are unsure about, check in with yourself and ask yourself the question of, what am I really looking for? And then experiment with it. Have some fun. And don't necessarily say no to yourself. I think amplify the good instead of putting so much pressure on the bad. Honestly, the most powerful highs in life, the best times in your life, they don't come from anything that is outside of yourself. The best times in our life come from discovering who you are, what you're capable of, and doing that on your own terms, in your own body and in your own life. So I hope this resonates with you. And honestly, who knows how long I'll be sober? I don't know if it'll be another year or not, but for now, I'm enjoying it. And as long as I'm enjoying it, then that feels good for me. And I hope wherever you're listening that you're feeling good too. And I can't wait to chat with you again soon. Thanks so much for being here. Thank you for tuning into the show today. And before you go, I just have one quick favor to ask of you. There is a really simple way that you can help support me and help support this show, and that is to hit that follow button on whatever app you're listening to the show on. I'm trying really hard to level up the content and deliver unique value and amazing guests, and just hitting that follow button is the magic that will help continue to empower that. And remember that the world deserves to hear your voice and your stories, and you deserve a place at the top.